This is a quick restorative practice for your flow days. This practice is done completely with legs up the wall. So you'll want to make sure that you are positioning yourself near a wall. It's great to have a blanket for this practice as well to create a bit of cushion for the low spine. And all of these postures are done, like I said, in that legs up the wall position. This is a great posture for balancing the nervous system. As we increase blood flow to the heart rate slows down, and that sort of signals the body that it's okay to let go, it's okay to relax. So as we're in this shape that is soothing and nourishing our nervous system, we'll also be moving into some very deep hip opening postures that you can sort of dial up or down depending on what you're needing for today. So you can create more sensation or you can create less sensation and move into more of a passive stretch in all of these different movement patterns for today. I love legs up the wall for the menstrual phase, for your flow days, when you might not be wanting a full out movement practice, but you still have some energy that you're trying to move through the body. This hip opening quality in legs up the wall, it can support healthy flow. It can support the natural softening of the pelvic floor, the releasing of the root lock, so that you can get the maximum benefit of this cyclical opportunity for release. So grab your mat, grab a blanket, position yourself near the wall, and let's get started with today's practice. Welcome to this restorative legs up the wall practice for your menstrual phase. This is a quick way to unwind the nervous system, to create a sense of calm, and to offer a bit of soothing for any sensations that might be arising in the low belly, in the low spine. The legs up the wall is a posture that increases blood flow to the heart, which allows our heart rate to slow down, and it creates a bit of grounding for this time in the cycle when you might not be wanting a lot of vigorous movement, but you do want to create some space in the body and allow for a bit of a practice and ritual around your flow days. So to begin, make sure that you are positioned near a wall, or you can even use a chair or a couch. You can put your legs up on one of those surfaces. I like to have, especially for these restorative legs up the wall postures, a blanket, something rolled up just to create a bit of added cushion between your back and the surface of the floor. And this is an inversion, but it's gentle enough that it can be practiced during your flow days. It's not something that will counteract the downward flow, that healthy release during this time in the cycle. So to set up, position yourself on your blanket, bring your hip all the way to the wall. So we really want to have that connection point of the hip to the wall. And then reach the arm that's closest to the wall up and begin to turn your body toward the wall. You can kind of slide down, begin to lower onto the back, and then circle your legs up the wall. So as best as you can, you want the hips to be touching the wall if possible. For me, this means I might need to fold my blanket one more layer so that I can really get that connection of the hips to the wall. Find a very comfortable place first. So shimmy and shake, move around if you need to. Can you soften your shoulders? Soften the knees, so just a gentle bend in the knee here. Release your jaw, the muscles in your face. And then here, just begin to circle the ankles one direction and then the other, spreading the toes. So we're just creating a bit of circulation and blood flow in the legs before we enter our restorative postures. So legs up the wall by itself is enough, but we're going to allow for a bit of space in the hips. Now begin to turn the toes in and then the heels in, just really lubricating the hip joint here. Toes in, heels in, knees out, knees in. Just for a few rounds of breath here. And then allow your feet to rest on the wall. Again, gentle bend in the knees here. Just feel that sensation. You might feel a bit of tingling in the toes. This is a great way to connect with the sensations in the body because they will be shifting as we move through. Find that deep connection to breath in and out through the nose here. And then let your left leg stay upright. Bring your right knee into chest. And let it come a bit to the outer ribs here, letting your shoulders stay soft. Can you really hug the shin into the back of the thigh? So the calf into the back of the thigh. Create that awakening in the groin and the hip. Maybe turn the knee slightly out. This is a great sort of resetting stretch for the sacrum as we do both sides individually and then together. It sort of allows for some space such that the bones can kind of drop into their natural alignment. So if you have any sacroiliac pain, so that's the joint that connects your pelvis to your sacrum, these practices can be very soothing for that. And then switch sides, extend your right leg up, hug your left knee into your chest. Again, here, just exploring the different arrangement of the leg in space, hugging the calf into the back of the thigh. And without sort of rounding in the shoulders, let your upper body stay passive here. You might circle the ankle once again. And just let your right leg be very relaxed. So for me, it just kind of naturally wants to turn out. And notice that what that's telling you. So for me, it requires a lot of effort to keep the leg square. So that's telling me that maybe my outer right hip glute is a bit tight. I'm just observing that, taking that information on board. And then release the knees, the legs both up here. Add a bit of a deeper bend into the knees and just allow your legs to windshield wiper from side to side. So again, just creating some fluid movement for the joint here. And then we'll take both knees together now in a deep squat. So if you can, turn the heels in, toes out. And really press the feet into the wall. As you do that, move the pubic bone towards the ground. So turn the pelvis towards the ground. Sort of moving the pubic bone towards the tailbone for that anterior pelvic tilt. And this allows us to get deeper into this squat position than we might be able to if we were sort of upright or on the floor, because we have that support of the wall. So as you press your feet into the wall, move the pubic bone towards the earth. Can you deepen the sensation? And then for even greater sensation still, you might just allow your hands to gently press the knees open. Notice if that loses any of the sensation in the groin or in the pelvis. Can you, as you do that, press the feet back into the wall? From here, let your feet walk up just a bit wider now. And again, same thing here, turning the pelvis towards the ground, pubic bone towards the earth. Sort of our goddess squat here, in legs up the wall. Reconnect to your breath, deep inhale through the nose. Exhale through the nose. Bring the soles of your feet together now, finding Cobbler Pose. Just find that equal and opposite action in the feet. Notice what happens in your knees, the natural kind of arrangement in the legs. Then can you use your hands to press the knees open a bit? As you press through the hands, can you anchor the shoulder blades into the mat so you have those sort of two constraints of the wall and the shoulders that then allow you to get deeper into the legs, into the hips. Pressing the knees wide apart now. You might even take the heels of your hands into your hip creases and press the hip creases towards the wall. Creating a bit of traction in the spine, the low spine. This can be so soothing, especially if you experience lower back pain during your flow days or in the days leading up to your flow. So this practice, while we have it in the menstrual phase, it can also be so soothing and grounding for the late luteal phase. Anytime you feel that whisper of PMS arriving, just giving yourself a few minutes to get your legs up the wall, to recalibrate, let your nervous system rest. Last big breath here in this shape. And then as you release the hands, notice the alignment of your legs. Where do they naturally return to? So just using every opportunity to connect mind and body. This is a time where there's very little hormonal interference between left and right sides of the brain. So our somatic and our practical, more analytical sides can come into a bit more of a union. It's a great opportunity to scan the body, to pay attention to the sensations that arise. Begin to straighten the legs any amount now, coming into your straddle position. Here, once again, moving the pubic bone toward the wall. Then if this creates any strain in the low back, you can bend the knees gently, or I also like to bring my hands to outer thighs, just an added pillar of support, so there's not quite as much strain in the inner thighs, the groin. You might flex the feet here, really pressing the heels into the wall. And then just to play with the sensation, you might turn your toes down, your heels up to create that external rotation in the hip here. Enjoy 3 more very deep rounds of breath here. And then slowly, mindfully bend the knees, bring the legs back together. So you should start to feel that counter pose now of internally rotating the hips. Cross at the upper thighs, bring opposite feet to opposite sides on the wall. So coming into cow face pose, just allowing that counteraction of hugging the legs now to the midline. So we spent a lot of time with the hips in external rotation, and now we're bringing it back to center to create balance. So you can even walk the heels a bit further away from each other, creating that deep sensation in the outer hips. So again, just sort of carving away at these imbalances that may be present in the body, these postural imbalances. The hips are a place where that often occurs. Slowly switch the cross of your legs now, hugging energy of the inner thighs to the midline, and just walking the heels out away from each other. Breathing into the sensation. So as you expand your lungs, let the diaphragm descend down toward your hips. And as it expands, as it opens up, that creates space in the pelvic floor. So you can actually breathe into your hips. Something that I've heard in so many yoga classes, and it took several years for it to finally land as being something physically possible. And we'll slowly unwind. We'll enjoy our pigeon pose here. So cross right ankle over left knee. Use your right hand to press the right knee open. And you can definitely dial up or down the sensation here by the position of your left foot. Bring it closer to the sitting bone for a deeper sensation. And you can really push into that left foot as you move your pubic bone toward the earth. So tilt the pelvis in that anterior position, moving it forward. Can you feel the waves of sensation where as you stretch deeply, your body sort of reacts to protect yourself? But then as you breathe through, slowly over time, the muscles relax as we reassure them, let them know that they're okay. Last big breath here. Switching sides now, bringing right foot to the wall, crossing left ankle over right thigh, left hand to the inner left knee. And again, you create the sensation that you need in this moment. Perhaps you want this to be very, very restorative. So I'm just letting the legs rest in this shape, or maybe you're looking for a bit of active rest, active stretch, where you're pressing through the right foot. You're moving the pelvis in space to create that sensation in the outer left hip. Again, letting the waves of sensation rise and fall. It's that natural mechanism in the body with stretching, as we are tight to begin with, and then we sort of soften, then we tighten again. So the longer that you can breathe through these postures, the more space you will allow, the more of those waves that you can move through. Last big full belly breath here. Slowly release both feet to the wall. Hug your knees together. And we're going to let the shape of the legs lower to the left. Let your shoulders stay on the mat. And try not to force anything in this twist, so let it be a very passive rotation. Just allowing the low spine to relax. So your hips need not be perfectly stacked one on top of the other. Just kind of let them fall where they may. Lengthening, if you can, the right hip crease away from the right armpit. To come out now, gathering strength in the low belly, so there's no strain in the lower back. And slowly switching sides, so just letting the weight transfer now to the other side. Maybe gazing over to the left. And again, allowing this to be a very passive stretch, one where you're receiving the twist. And just notice any difference from one side to the other. So for me, my left knee stays a bit upright. So what is that telling me about kind of my posture left to right? Can you notice any of those little differences, discrepancies from one side to the other? Just like no two cycles are the same, the two sides of your body are not the same. You are not the same every day of the month, every moment of the day. It's really just celebrating that as an opportunity that you get to step into with every moment. You get to show up in different ways. Gently tone the belly to come out. Let your legs rest up the wall here. Gentle bend in the knees. You might bring a hand to heart, a hand to belly for these last few breaths of this practice, this grounding restorative practice. Wiggle your toes. Allow your eyes to close if they're not there already. As you continue to let the breath flow naturally, can you become aware of any change, any shift in your mental current? Do your thoughts feel different? Is there any sensation in your chest? Perhaps a bit of dissipation happening there as the body moves into calm. And I will close our time together here from legs up the wall, simply to allow you more time, more space, should you need it, should you have it, such that you can stay here as long as you like. I want to thank you for joining me in this practice, for letting me be a part of your movement journey, and for being a part of this collective of women who move by the moon.